Hello, this is Cammie and Sarah, and we are excited to have you here today as we kick into our jam session number 3. Is it 3 or 4? It's number 3. It's number 4. Okay,
3.
Anyway, it's number 3. And it's keeping track of your life, your tools, rules, and jewels for great time management. So I'm excited to have you. This is a great talk. It's going to give you guys lots of good tips and tricks on how you can manage your time. So the famous Bon Jovi song, It's My Life. Yes, I love that song. I love Bon Jovi. And this is the words are a good one to take a look at and just think it is our life. It's, time is now or never, and so it's time for us to really step into owning our time. It's a great, that song has great lyrics in it to help remind us that. And last month we talked about time management and a lot about the mindset that is needed to rock your time, to really make your time, and instead of your time rocking you. And so today we're going to talk about the tools that can help you with that. And how many of you have been saying no to the things that are not urgent in your life or important, and scheduling those things that are aligned to you and what matters most to you? So I'd just like to do a quick check-in, and see Debbie just joined us as well. And I can't unmute you, Debbie, but I would like to do a quick check-in. And who has been really thinking more specifically about what's most important in your time management right now? The urgent things, the not urgent things. Have you put some thought to that this month?
Yeah.
Who was that?
That was Cheryl. It gets away from me.
It gets away from you?
Yeah.
Okay. And so what do you do when it's getting away from you?
Well, I stop and tell myself, stop letting that get away from you.
Yeah.
And I try to make a list and rate the things that are most important.
Good.
Having used the, Franklin Covey system for a while, it's very helpful to have your top priorities and so on.
Those big rocks, right?
Yep, the big rocks.
Yeah.
I don't always do that, and it's more work-centric rather than life-centric. So
Okay.
I need a little more balance.
Yeah. So what you're finding the work-centric, the time management challenges in the work-centric side of it?
I'm finding time management challenges in just managing my life. I could work 12 hours a day.
Okay.
And I know that wouldn't be fun, and I would be exhausted. And yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to have some balance.
Okay. Well, and I think some of the things that we'll share today can be useful. I know, I think, and I mentioned this last time, that Sarah's Franklin Covey trainer, and when I took her class, I don't know, it's been several years ago now, I was running pretty ragged in my business, and I think these tools were certainly things that helped me shift things. So I'm excited to share them with you today. So let me. So with time, seeing is really believing. So having a visual system for your time system is going to be important, and we're going to talk about that. And it can be a paper calendar. It could be something like we're looking at here. It could be the books, the planners that you use to see. It could be your smartphone features that you've got on there, or apps that you've got on there. It could be, and I am very, very guilty of this, it could be these. So, I'm totally guilty.
Rock.
Yeah, I'm totally guilty, but I also use Outlook pretty extensively. So I kind of use a mixture of things, right? And it's not about, today's not about judging about which tool is right or wrong. We're all different. We all move to different beat, right? And today is about offering ideas for you to consider that will help you make your time management technique, help them take your, I can't speak today, help take your time management techniques up a notch. So we're really going to look for just some things that you can apply in your day-to-day life. And these small shifts in how you manage time can pay off in big ways. Today is about making sure you have a system, and it's a system that works for you. And we'll give you lots of different ideas. So let's think big about time to start with. During our last jam, we explored time management through the lens of purpose and making choices on how you spend your time. So choices that can move you closer to your goals, choices that can help you build and maintain your important relationships, and choices in how you that allow you to avoid being a time victim. So there's we spoke a lot about choice. Starting from this very grounded place, knowing that what's important to you, what your roles are, what your goals are, and then recognizing that you hold the key to time with your choices. Let's start to look at how you might use scheduling from a visual perspective to improve the way you manage that. If I asked you to show me what's really important things are to you in your planning methodology, and as you prepare for what's next in this year, could you? I mean, do you have a place where you keep your big rocks, your big ideas, your big goals? Do you have a place where you have those set up? You really want to have that visual someplace, and you can easily block time now for those things that you know you need to plan for, and you can guard it fiercely. You can start thinking about time as a funnel, right? You really think of this funnel of all the things that you need to be doing, from a work perspective, from a personal perspective, from your daily tasks, your weekly tasks, your monthly tasks, to even your annual tasks, things that have to happen on a regular basis. There's a lot of things that have to happen that you're just managing to. And if you recall that matrix that we worked in last time, that we had the always important, sometimes important, or what they are.
Urgent, not urgent.
There we go.
Important, not important.
There we go. And so if you start thinking through all this from that funnel and saying, okay, what are all the really important things that are urgent? What are the really important things that are not urgent? And making sure that you're making time for those, because they can get lost in the mix of things. So what I want you to do for a moment is I want you to think about the important roles in your life that you've been considering as you've been getting clear on your purpose. What are the roles that you have in your life? Business owner, mom, employee, all the different things that are out there. And how many roles do you have? I know when I think of that, I have a lot of different roles that I'm managing. I love to volunteer, so I've got responsibilities to some different nonprofits that I have in the mix of my business work, and in the midst, I have responsibilities to my clients as a coach. I have responsibilities to my husband, and as a mom, as a friend, all these different roles that I've got. And how much time do you want to spend each year, each quarter, each month, each week to nurture these roles? I'm pretty specific on for example, on my volunteering, that there's certain times that I make available for volunteering, and then there's certain times that I don't, because if I said yes to everything that they put a request out for, I'd be juggling way too many balls. So some examples for me is I stop. Another role for me is writing. I write every Friday. My Friday mornings are dedicated to writing in my book, and I don't waver off of that. I have yoga scheduled in my calendar. I have time when I make time for my horses, things like that. So when I write each week, when am I going to make these different? How do I make this time? And I don't just start by breaking my time down and plugging in meetings and appointments with myself on the calendar. You want to think about things like, when am I most creative? What tasks on my list require a lot of creativity? I can tell you that as I get up in the morning, and that's my creative time. I can write something out, and I can write a blog in an hour if I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and sit down and write it. If I wait till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it will never get done, because that's just my time cycles don't work that way. So really be tuned into what's your time cycles. When are you at your best from a creative perspective? When are you at a taskmaster? What's your natural rhythm of your life, of your body? When are you drawn to do these different things? When are you strategic? When can you be, that great friend? So really be thinking about that. And then, are there certain days of the week that I want to avoid things or avoid doing things? So some people will do no meeting Fridays, and right now for me, as you guys know, is Mondays and Wednesdays are my client days. So I start to bucket things like that, and that's another huge, huge tip. If you can bucket things in your life where you're saying, today is all about my clients. When I get up in the morning on a Monday morning, I know it's about my clients. So I put myself into that frame of mind, and I'm there, and I'm ready, and I can be there in a bigger and a better way for my clients when I do that. And then I got to make sure that I make time, CEO time, for my business. So very often on Tuesdays, I've got projects that I'm working on that is all about delivering the CEO mindset into my business. So be thinking about ways that you can bucket items. Let's see. Think high level about time. Set your personal schedule on and stick to it. Plus, you can let others know that you are on or not on, so people know when you're available and when you're not available. For example, I know when Sarah has babysitters, and so when we need to work through stuff on business together, I know it's probably the best to try to do that on a day when there's a babysitter. Otherwise, it could be distracting. And so chunk times that works out for you. And if you take your days as they come, you'll be mediocre. That's just a bottom line fact. If you take the reins and schedule your hours, your minutes, your days to the things that matter most, you'll be rocking time. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Sarah, and she's going to take you on a journey with
we get to dive into technology.
Yeah.
I'm going to take
the
control.
presenter. There you go.
Yeah.
There, yes.
Show my screen. Cool. Well,
Got
hello,
it?
everybody. I am excited that we are moving from the mental mindset of time into the actual physical creation of, all right, how do we make sure that we have this visual system that Cami was talking about that really works? Can you all see my calendar?
I can.
Can't?
I can.
Oh, good, good, good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I really love is to use Outlook. Now, I know that there are a ton of really great electronic calendar systems out there. I just recently transitioned to Mac, and so I know that there's a cool calendar that just comes standard on the laptop that works great. But my experience has been with Outlook, and so whether you're using Outlook or you're using Lotus Notes or you're using whatever, I don't care. I'm sure they all have similar functionality, and so I'm going to just show you some of the really cool things that help me to manage time, right? Because we are taking the reins. Now, there are lots of different versions of Outlook. This happens to be the desktop version. There's Outlook 365, which I do use on occasion, that has many of the similar functionalities. So just make sure that as I'm going through, if you see something that you really like, and maybe when you get done, you try to figure out how to make it work and you're not sure all the steps, Google it, because I'll tell you what, there are so many really cool hotkeys and things that you can learn in a matter of just moments that will help you be really successful. So what is something that you notice right now by looking at my calendar?
It looks like it's color-coded.
Yes, yes, exactly. I love colors, and we were talking about this idea of being visual, and it's one thing just to see a list of things that you've got to do, but it's another to have some colors that are meaningful to you so that you can kind of chunk the things out that are happening. And so I have created a system that tells me what is what just based on the color. And I like that not only because it's just pretty, but I can take a week look. So this is actually the 7-day look. I can say, all right, what am I going to be doing? How am I going to be spending a majority of my time? And you can see here that there's a lot of orange on my schedule, and this was last week, and I did a lot of personal stuff last week, and orange is just personal things for me, right? So I've got, I took the dog to the vet on Monday. I, took my truck and got it dropped off to get the oil changed. Then I had to pick up the truck. You can see here that there are some gray areas too. And one of the things that I'm awful at is scheduling time for travel. And so I've been really trying to make sure that if I have a place that I have to go, that I'm not just saying, oh yeah, my appointment starts at 2, but I actually need to get there. And so I can't schedule anything else between 1:30 and 2, for instance, for this appointment that you see on Tuesday, because I'm going to be actually on the road. Now, if I wanted to schedule a phone call or something that I could do while I was driving, I would absolutely do that. But you can see here that, it's just about putting in those pieces and then giving it some meaning with the colors. So how do you actually do that? Well, it's so easy. You can see over here on the left-hand side of my screen that I've got a lot of different categories. And so I've got categories for different organizations that I work for. Axio, for instance, is a ad agency in the Springs that I do social media for. I've got categories for blogging because I want to make sure that I'm scheduling time for writing. I've got time, a category for coaching sessions because I want to know, okay, this purple color right here, that's all about coaching. Right. I've got some other writing that is really just related to content and writing workshops and writing, the things that I'm going to be doing. For instance, if I'm going to do like a leadership development workshop for a particular organization. Family is a huge category for me, and so I've got a color for it. Friends, it was funny. I was trying to schedule some time to meet a girlfriend for dinner the other day, and it was really difficult, but we finally made it, a super priority, and so I colored that one friends. Junk I don't ever use. I think that was just a standard one that came. I've got one that's just a general meeting because I do like to have a color that is specific to when I have other people that are involved. I've got my coaching, which I know other people are involved, but then I've got other meetings. Like I had a call with the National Institute for Animal Agriculture on that Tuesday. And so when I'm taking this, again, holistic look at my calendar, I can see, okay, I've got a couple of things that are happening that, other people are really going to be dependent upon me. And so I know that those likely can't move, things like that. So I like to use meeting once in a while. Montana stock growers, I had a category for because I was doing some consulting for them. NIAA, another organization I work with. And then personal, we've already talked about that orange color. If I'm traveling personally, I can select a color for that. And so forth. And so you can put as many categories as you want into your calendar. So I'm going to actually just go ahead and move on to next week. And we're going to pretend that I am scheduling an appointment for tomorrow. And you can see that tomorrow I've left wide open. I've left that wide open because tomorrow I don't have daycare. And the days that I don't have daycare, I really try to just be present with my family. Now, I will sometimes schedule appointments around nap time. And so, I know that nap time is generally from 1:30 to, 3:30-ish. And so I might, but I try to leave those open. But I will go back and then put in things that I do so that I can look back at the end of the week and say, all right, what the heck did I get done? Again, looking at those colors, what really stands out, where did I spend my time? So anyhow, let's pretend that I'm scheduling a meeting. Say I've got a new client call, a strategy session. I just double-clicked right into the time that I wanted because Outlook's cool like that. I could have gone over here to the top left and just put a new appointment. But I'm just going to go ahead and start putting this in. So I'm going to say this is a test, but this is a client strategy session. All right. Now, if I go over here to these little color blocks and I click that, it gives me all of those options that you just saw over here on the left-hand side of the screen. And so since this is something that's coaching related, I would select coaching, right? And I could select how much time it is. Maybe I want this to be 45 minutes, and then I save and I close it. And voila, there it is. Now, one of the things that I'm not always great at, but I'm trying to get better at, is saying, okay, I'm going to block out the half an hour before. Now, I'm not going to just, make one huge block of time because I want to remember what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I could say, I'm going to just do one meeting request that's a couple of hours long, but I want to really chunk it out so I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing at those particular times. So this is going to be prep for call with potential client. And I could have a category that is maybe Q2, that's not urgent but important, again, because I could come up with whatever I wanted. So let's say I did. I want to go up here to edit categories. And I can come up here and I can really just go and I can pick even the right color that I want. Say, I wanted to edit this and actually I want this one to be this really pretty magenta color. I could do that. Or I could just click this little plus sign and I could add something new. So my new category is prep for coaching, Q2. And then I just click add. And there she is. Say, and again, I don't like that color. I want to do this pretty blue color. You can do whatever you want. Say, I want this color instead. Again, you can have some fun. And you can even, have the same color for things if they are kind of in the same category, but you still maybe want to have something that's called out a little bit differently. So anyway, love, love, love the categories. Now, one of the things that Cami was talking about is that she said that every Friday is her writing time, right? And so you may want to use the recurring meeting. So one of the things I know about myself is that I'm not a good writer in the mornings. I'm a good writer at night. You can actually see that last night I did some writing from 10 or 9:30 to about 2 in the morning because that was just like, I don't know what it is, but I just feel like I'm turned on to write at night. And so maybe I'm going to say I want to have writing that happens every Thursday night because I know that my husband's playing softball or whatever. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say writing time for SJ. And then I'm just going to go right here to my recurrence. And I can do it every Thursday. I can do it every 25th of the month because this happens to be an appointment that was on the 25th. It can be every year on the 25th of June, whatever. Or I can go here to custom. And I really like custom because I maybe just want to make sure that I've got this block of time for writing every 2 weeks. And so it can really be smart enough to know and just go and put this appointment down every 2 weeks. I can set what my duration is going to be. Say I want it to be an hour and a half because writing isn't something that just always rolls off the tip of my head, right? I got to really think about it. So I'm going to do it an hour and a half, and then I click OK. So now I'm going to have this recurring meeting that happens every Thursday. Now we can actually go see if it actually worked. You can see here I've got this writing time. And oops, say I forgot to code it in the right category when I was making that. Right now I could just right-click on that appointment and I could go right here to categorize and I could still change it that color. So I'm just going to go ahead and call it content writing, something like that. Okay. Now, if I look on this next week, you can see that Thursday doesn't have anything, but hopefully the following Thursday does. And there it is. So for those things that you know you want to do every week at a particular time, definitely use recurring because it's just easy. And you can, if you're on vacation a particular week, you can just do it, cancel that one-time appointment and it won't wipe out all of your recurrences. So the colors and blocking that time is really important. Now, one of the things, this is a newer calendar for me. Like I mentioned, I just got this computer, so I haven't set up some of the things that I need to have set up. And so I knew that we were having our session today, and I thought it'd be a really good time. So my husband and I are really making a concerted effort to have date night. And so I would really encourage you to consider, again, those roles, those relationships that matter most to you. And when do you want to make time for those? And so I know that Friday night is great. It's something to look forward to after we've had a long work week. And so I want to put a recurring appointment for date night. And I wish that we could do it every Friday, but that's just not realistic for us right now. And so I'm going to do one that is a custom that is every 3 weeks. We do date night. And it's going to be a considerable amount of time. And I want 3 hours of date night. Now, what's a task that I probably need to figure out that goes with date night, since we've got kids?
Babysitter.
Exactly, exactly. I'm going to call this just personal, right? And so something that I'm going to have to spend time for, it's not just going to happen magically, is coordinating daycare. And so maybe today or tomorrow, I need to figure out babysitter. Again, I could choose it recurring, and so it happens, that couple of days before each date night. You guys get the point, right? Again, those colors, those blocking, thinking of those roles, thinking of those big rocks that need to happen, super, super important. Now, one of the other cool things that you can probably see up here is that we've got these all-day events that are happening. I'm going to just double-click on here. My husband travels a lot for work. I travel for work, and so it's really important that we keep our schedules coordinated, and so we send each other meeting requests so we know when we're here and when we're not, right? And so this is a meeting request. I know that he's got a team meeting. The location is actually in Portland. I should have updated that. But you can click this little button here that's all-day event, so it doesn't take up space on your calendar, but when you're looking that this time is blocked out. Again, these are simple things, but when you're looking at your week or somebody calls and says, hey, can you come and do something? Like I had a client that wanted to do an appointment on Thursday night. I was like, Chris is actually out of town, and I need to add that I'm picking him up from the airport. Right? So these are really easy things that give you that visual view of time. Let me go to the following week. So I love these all-day events because I know easily what's happening. So I know Sunday, Cammie and I are going to be wrapping up our equine vision journey. On Monday, I'm taking the kids to hang out with Kristen. Now I put it as an all-day event because I'm not sure exactly what time it's going to be yet. I haven't gotten there. So I should actually schedule some time on Friday to call her and say, hey, what time are we getting together Monday? I know Tuesday, Cammie and I are having a planning day all day. And so I've just blocked out the entire day because I don't want anything else to happen, right? On Wednesday, I'm going down to the Springs to look at the rodeo grounds for the Pikes Peak or Bus Rodeo because I'm going to be doing social media for them. And again, I've scheduled time for driving. Woohoo! Then we've got this Wisner event. Like my husband and I are going to the Wisner, Nebraska for a family reunion. And you can see here that the category is the yellow category, should be the travel category, so you can change things whenever you want. But you can also show your time. Is, are you out of the office? Is it private? Do you not want anybody else to see it? Do you want to invite attendees? So it's super, super easy. And I know that Cammie's anniversary is coming up. So when somebody calls, a client calls, or a new opportunity pops up and they said, all right, when can you get together? By having this visual calendar, you can easily see, all right, you're looking to get together the fifth week, or excuse me, the first week in July. Man, I am wide open, kind of, because then the rodeo's here. So one of the things I haven't done is shown that I'm out of the office during this Pikes Peak or Bus Rodeo. And there's going to be things going on all day, so I probably don't want to schedule anything that week. So I could say, all right, I've got time on Monday or Tuesday. I haven't scheduled out July much. I know that I'm going on a 14er adventure with some friends on the 17th. Right? I know that I'm going to be having our millennial leadership workshop, that I'm going to the dentist, that Chris is going to be out of town again here doing some kind of training, right? So you've got to put these big blocks of time in.
Sarah?
Yes.
Sarah, a couple of things I want to add into the mix of this is that there's tools that you can utilize to connect to Outlook, which I use really substantially. I use a program called Time Trade. And for those of you who have people wanting to schedule time on your calendar, this is a great tool where you can set up blocks in the Time Trade program. So like if you go to my calendar, I've got Thursdays blocked off for strategy sessions and with prospects. And so clients can actually book on Time Trade. They can go and they can see when I've got available time slots open, and they can book it on there, and that automatically pushes that to my Outlook calendar.
Nice.
And awesome tool. It saves me eons of time. And then once it gets onto my calendar, I use that as I get an email that says that, I've got somebody that's put this on my calendar, which takes me to go out to my database and send them the follow-up information that they need for preparing for that strategy session. And after I've done that, I actually change the color of my of the appointment to make sure, so I categorize it as a sales and marketing category. And then, but once I know that color is done, I already know that I've done all the stuff that I needed to do to follow up with that person. So that's my own little trick that I use. So you can start to play all kinds of tricks with this in the mix of things.
And it's so important to have your calendar be mobile, right, where you are out to lunch with a potential client and you've got access immediately to see when you've got availability. To have those interfaces where one program is talking with the other. Fantastic. That's one of the really cool things about Calendar on Mac is that it looks at your Gmail calendar, it looks at your Outlook calendar, it looks at the Mac calendar, and it pulls everything in. So look for those things that can help create efficiencies for you. Now,
are you going to cover tasks on there? Are you going to show from the tasks?
I am.
Okay.
Yes. So before I do that, I'm going to look at mail, because I think that email is just something that can be really, really wacky, because it can rule your life if you don't really, take advantage of all of the tools that are available. So you can turn your emails colors. You can see down here that I've got the Women's Foundation of Colorado is blue. You can do some categories just like you do in your calendar. You can use the same exact calendars or the same exact categories. So again, you can look through quickly and say, all right, I need to really look at everything that's red right now, because the red ones are the things that have only been sent to me and they need immediate action. So definitely use your categories. But the other thing that you can do is look at the opportunity to do follow-up. Flags are really cool because you can say, I don't want to do this right now, but I want to do it later, and then you can really choose when you want to do it. And then you'll have a pop-up reminder that will say, hey, you said that you wanted to do this today, right? I was reading the other day that the 2-minute rule should be something that you live your life by. And so as you're reading that email, if it's going to take you less than 2 minutes to do whatever it is that email is requesting, then you just go ahead and get it done. If it's going to take more than 2 minutes, then you choose when you want to schedule it. And so then I would go ahead and just move that over into my calendar so that I know that I've got time. Or I might, in my calendar, just schedule a block of Q2 email, working my emails time. And so you know that you're going to do that in the morning and you're going to do that in the evening. So really kind of play with how you might use those follow-ups and scheduling time. The other thing that I think is kind of fun is using your folders so that you don't just have a huge inbox full of crazy, right? And so what are those things or those buckets of information where you want to pull your email into? And so we've got coaching, we've got consulting, horse expo, events, different things that we've got happening. So make sure that if you can use those folders that you do, and it's super easy. You just right-click and you say new folder, and you can name it whatever you want. Right? So colors are cool, flags are cool, folders are awesome. Make sure that you're having fun with those. Now tasks and I aren't very friendly, because if I do a task, I just kind of want it to put on my calendar. But hey, you might really, really love having a task list. Like some people said, I really want a list. Now, if I'm going to do a list, I like to write a paper list, or I like the stickies, like Kemi said. And I actually read something the other day that like people that use Post-its are actually highly productive, which some people have said isn't the case. And so go to you if you use sticky notes. But you can just create these tasks. And again, you've got your categories that you can select. You can put the time that you want to follow up with your flags. You can tell yourself if it's a high priority, a low priority. You can do it recurring. So for instance, maybe you've got a monthly report that's due, or you've got invoices that you need to do at a particular time. I would just go to town and say, I'm doing my monthly reports, and it's due, every 23rd of the month, however you want it, and then you save it and close it. And then it's going to create that task for you that then you can kind of go through and manage. So again, with your Outlook or your tools that you have, it's just about, finding those efficiencies in what's available there.
I use tasks pretty heavily, and I always have it visible on my screen. So I've got my email will be there, or my calendar, and then I've got on the right-hand side, I've got all of my tasks, and I can drag an email over into that task box. I can you know, they interact with each other, and so it's a great way to. I find it's a really efficient way for me to manage my task. I meet with my accountability partner, and I update. You know, these are the things I said I was going to do this week, and it's always there and always visible for me.
Yeah. Tasks are cool because you can sort them, you know, by the category. You can sort them by the due date. I mean, there's a lot of really cool functionality there. So it's all about, again, thinking of those things that are aligned with your purpose. What are those big rocks? Do you have time for it? How do you want to manage it? Now, the last thing that I want to say about your calendar and making it visual is that you do want to have Slack. One of the things that I always used to do was like schedule every waking minute that I knew I was going to be in the office. But then when that Q1 thing pops up, it's urgent, it's important, you've got to take care of it right now, I felt like, holy crap, what am I going to do? Now all these other things, you know. So it just kind of made me overwhelmed. And so as you're scheduling, like today, know that I've got some slack in there. And so when that Q2 or Q1 thing pops up, you can take care of it, and then you can just drag and drop the things that you know are movable. So Slack is your friend. Don't worry about that, okay? So I'm curious to know how you guys are using Outlook or any tools. What's really working well to make your calendars visual? Are you making your calendars visual? Maybe?
Debbie? Wendy?
Hey, it's Debbie.
Yeah, this is Wendy.
Oh,
Go ahead, Debbie, and then we'll come to you, Wendy, next.
oh, mine was going to be quick. I was going to say that everything that Sarah showed, that's exactly how I've been using my Outlook for a while now.
Awesome.
What's your favorite thing out of all the tools or the tricks or tips?
Putting the follow-up on emails, because I used to get so inundated with emails, and I tried to remember to go and put them in folders, and so now I just automatically go ahead and do a follow-up if I can't read it and do it right away. But I wrote down that I'm going to look into that your 2-minute rule that you've got on that. So thank you for sharing that.
You bet. Love it. Thank you for sharing.
You bet.
Okay,
Who else
Wendy,
did
go
we
ahead.
have?
Yeah, what I do the color coding with different color pens. I have an actual date book
Good.
that I use, and I have a different color pen for different activities or jobs, as well as I use my calendar on my iPhone.
Beautiful, beautiful. What's your favorite color that you use, and what does it go with?
I like the bright blue color because that's my personal stuff.
Nice. Cool.
So Susan she posted in here. She said, I use my work Outlook, but try not to use for personal. It would be good to have a tool that can pull my work and email Outlook and roll it into my personal calendar. Otherwise, I have 2 calendars. So that one calendar, if there's a way that you can get to one calendar, is huge. Any tools you know of, Sarah, that help with that?
You know, there's several that will do that, and so I would just suggest doing kind of a Google, say, I have this kind of schedule and I have this kind of schedule, and you can see what's available because there's so many different options depending on what kind of interfaces that you're using. So yeah, it is hard when you're managing too, so look into that and see what you can do to bring yourself a little bit of efficiency there.
Yeah, I know my husband, who works for the federal government, has some of that same challenge where he's got a very you know, it's the Department of Homeland Security, so they lock down systems pretty tightly. So being able to integrate those, we haven't actually found a tool. So I'm always looking, but maybe we need to look further.
Right. And if you find something that's really cool, I encourage you to post it to the client circle so that we can kind of just share the love, because I'm sure everybody's got the same challenges, and so let's see what's working well for you and kind of just move with it. Now, my challenge for each of you is to go back to your visual systems and make sure that you've got a couple of things. Make sure that you've got an appointment scheduled in the next couple of weeks for your relationships, those relationships that matter most, an actual date with a time and a place. right? I want you to make sure that you also have time for movement, right? Whether it's yoga, it's going for a hike, it's doing some meditation, whatever. Just make sure that you've got that kind of body piece locked and loaded with a schedule, time, date, and a place. And just make sure that you've got some time for you, just doing whatever it is that you're feeling like you want to do right now. Schedule it, right? I feel like I need to go put my feet in the water. And so tomorrow with the kids, that's what we're going to go do. We're going to go find a creek and we're going to go put our feet in it, right? So find those times. And then share your calendar with your loved ones so that they can see what's happening. I know when Chris thinks that I'm a little bit crazy and I never have time, I just say, here, look at my schedule. And this can be really helpful with your boss too. Like if you feel like you've got too much on your plate and you've kind of flowed everything out, maybe you've got some big projects that you're working on, what have you, say, let's sit down side by side and look at this. Do you have any suggestions for me for things that might be able to be shifted, or where do you see opportunities for us to meet next? Or just having that opportunity to see, I think, is really, really powerful. So if you ever have questions about using Outlook or you want to share some ideas, please don't hesitate to reach out because we could go on for days about Outlook. But I'd like to transition now and talk a little bit about smartphones because everybody has one, and whether you've got an iPhone or you've got an Android, it really doesn't matter because there's always tools. But there are cool things that you can do with your calendars. Let me pull up. I've got a slide here. Cami, can you take back control here? Let's see.
I think.
Since you have the PowerPoint up, can we pull that, please? There are a couple of neat things, like the calendar we've talked about, but when I travel, I try to do simple things like take a picture of where I've parked using my iPhone, and then I will schedule that as an appointment at the time that I'm getting back. And so I'll take the picture and then I'll move it into the appointment so that it pops up. Say I'm going to land at 3 o'clock. I have it scheduled to pop up at 3:15 that says, remember, Sarah, here's the picture of where you parked. You parked in row T3, so go find your car, just so that it's simple for me. Right? If you haven't loaded your email onto your phone, absolutely do that. Right? You can get so much cool stuff just integrated. 24/7 isn't always your friend, though, and so give yourself some boundaries of when you're going to look at it. I read something the other day that said when you walk through the door, your phone isn't going to shut off, right? And so you can do a mental trick of maybe walking into the bathroom and physically washing your hands, as this metaphor is I'm washing my hands for email and all the other stuff that's work-related, and right now I'm going to transition into my family time. Right?
I love that.
Yeah, I love it too. You can, pull up your tasks on your phone. You can pull up your notepad. One of the coolest things that I like, especially with the iPhone, is to ask Siri. I was out driving the other day and I needed to meet somebody and I wasn't sure where the location was, and so I said, hey Siri, tell me where the Walmart on Sheridan is. And immediately, bam, there she was. Instead of taking a lot of time to set a timer the other day, I said, hey Siri, set a timer for 15 minutes. And so it's amazing the cool things that you can tell Siri to do that even saves you, even 30 seconds, so you don't have to be distracted trying to figure out how to do stuff. So just ask Siri, and really just take advantage of apps that are on your phone. And so I just went into the iPhone area the other day and just did kind of a search, and I put time management in, and there were a really amazing list of time management apps that popped up. There was a time study app, and it compared your planned schedule to what you actually did and how you spent your time. And so, I have Sarah's rule of 3, right? When I'm scheduling something, I guesstimate how much time it's going to take me, and then I triple it because I'm always really bad about picking times. And so it helps me to figure out, all right, how am I doing there from what I thought it was going to be to what it actually was. There is also an app that's a task list for your task list, right? It's called Listastic. You can have task lists for your grocery lists, your blog topics, your Christmas gifts that you want to buy, and so it manages all of your lists. So if you're a list master, look into that. There's an app called Finish that tells you how long you have to do certain tasks based on a timeline that you set, and it alerts you as your time gets close. And so something as simple as setting a timer can be really cool, and it gives you that alert that says, hey, you said that you were only going to do this for an hour, stop. This is something that I could use for social media because I can get it sucked right in. There's another one called To Do that is all about lists. There's a 30/30 app that's about a countdown for the tasks that you have. There's an Epic Win app, and it turns in the tasks that you have to a game, and you get to choose an avatar and tasks, and then you get awarded for completing items. And so, hey, if that's going to get you motivated to get your schedule just rocking, then I say just kick some butt and have some fun with it, right? And then the last one that I'll talk about is called Evernote. And this is cool for things that you want to read later or find later, because like I find all sorts of neat things, especially when I'm on Twitter, and I might not have time to sit down and read it all right now, and so I can just move it over to Evernote. So in my schedule, when I've got that Q2 time for learning, I can just move on over to Evernote, and then I've got a list of all the cool articles that at some point I thought would be really cool to read. So it can get rid of paper clutter or email clutter and just really make things easy to find. Because part of time is just having those systems of like, okay, how did I organize my folders, so that you can just go find it when you need it. So at this point, I'd like to pause and kind of see, does anybody have a really cool app that's helping them to manage time that you could share?
This is Wendy. I have an app that I use called Paperless, and you can create different categories for projects or tasks that you need to do. And there's like a category for today, and then there's one for someday, and there's groceries, and you can create all your different categories to put your tasks into that you need to get done.
Nice. And that was called Paperless?
Yes.
Is that an iPhone or Android?
It's on an iPhone.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Anybody else have something really cool that's working on your smartphone? So if you're a Pinterest user, go and type time management into Pinterest and apps, and you'll find another amazing list of things. So let's go ahead and move on, because I know that we are just about done with our time. Now, of course, with our jams, there's always going to be a challenge. And so today, your challenge, outside of what we've already said in blocking your time, is to start color coding your weekly schedule. Your stop is to stop just adding meetings or tasks that aren't important to you, right? That memory from the last session that you're only going to do what you want to do because it's your time. And then the third piece is really just to continue staying connected to your purpose, right? If it's not connected to your purpose, then you don't have to feel bad. You don't have to apologize when you say no. You just say, gosh, I've just got some really other important things that I need to focus my time around. So if you do those things, you're going to be rocking time. You're not going to have to worry. And yeah, you're going to be doing some epic shit. And today is all about those little shifts that you can make, right, to make a big difference. And the reading recommendation that we have for you is called The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. And he's got a ton of great books out there, but this is one that just talks about, the power of making those incremental shifts. So if you haven't had the chance to pick that up, please do. Great read, and you'll be glad that you did. And we've got a TED Talk for you, of course. And this one's about just trying things that are new. So maybe you heard something today that you're like, holy crap, I've never done that. And say, well, do it, because in 30 days, your world can change. And so this one is just a great one, just talking about the power of trying something new and how quickly change can happen. So go check out Trying Something New for 30 days. And then schedule your time for the next jam. And this one's going to be all about relationships, right? We've scheduled time for relationships, but then, okay, what are we going to do? Right, this is July 28th, at the end of July, hot, beautiful, awesome summertime, same bat time, same bat station, 11:30 to 12:15. And with that, Cammie, what would you add?
I would just invite you all to, take a moment to really look at your calendar, look at the way that you manage your calendar, and see if there's not, one thing that you can do this month differently with your calendar, and just see how that works for you. See if it shifts things for you. See if it changes something for you. I think that's all I've got for today. And thank you, Sarah, for sharing all of your great tips. And thanks, everyone, for sharing what works for you. And till next time, thanks for jamming with us.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and have fun with colors.
That's right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.